While death can knock on our door at any age, as we get older, we realize that it is closer today than it was yesterday. Aging and facing death, one physician's experience. Tonight, On Call with the Prairie Doc. Good evening and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc. I'm Dr. Jim Engelbrecht, sitting in as the host tonight. We have a special guest joining us whom we will introduce shortly. First, let's take a look at this week's question, the Prairie Doc quiz question. What does Dr. Holm think positively influenced his life the most? A, the life of his 19-year-old sister who died when he was 16. B, the unconditional love of his parents. C, being accepted into medical school. D, marriage to Joni and their 4 children. E, all of the above. Viewers who call in the correct answer will be entered into a drawing to win a signed copy of Dr. Holm's book, The Picture of Health. Each of Dr. Holm's essays, originally written for this show, comes with a wonderful accompanying photograph by Dr. Judith Peterson. We will announce the answer and the winner at the end of the show. Remember, you have only 10 minutes to get your answer in. We answer your medical questions about aging and facing death as they are called in or sent to us via Facebook or email at any time during the show. Call in questions to 1-888-376-6225 or send us an email to the address on the screen. Well, our special guest tonight is the Prairie Doc himself, Dr. Rick Holm. We think that you will enjoy this conversation about his life, his medical career, his forthcoming book on aging, and the special health challenges he has faced in recent months. Rick, I know that you've been really upfront about the diagnosis of cancer you got last fall, and you've talked about it on the show before. Give us a quick update as to where we are with that right now.
Right. Well, I went to my local doctor when I had abdominal pain. I was admitted to the hospital. The diagnosis was, ended up going to Sioux Falls, and at Avera McKinnon they did a ERCP where they looked where there was some blockage in my bile duct and did brushings and found cancer, basically cancer of the pancreas. And so the plan was to do some chemotherapy before surgery. And the night before the surgery, the surgeon had been reviewing and doing his homework that night and called me at 11 and said, you know, your anatomy is weird and I'm sending you to the Mayo, and because you need to have special vascular people. And so I went to the Mayo, and they added more chemo and radiation, that of which I got all through Avera here, really. And that was finished, and so just Monday, I went back.
2 days ago.
3 days ago. I went back to the Mayo and they repeated the CAT scan and the PET scan, and it looks like it's a go. And they're going to do surgery on Wednesday. They didn't see any evidence of spread of cancer. They didn't even see the cancer anymore. And so I think that it was a very positive response. Pancreatic cancer is a bad actor, and I realize the percentages and all that, but right now the percentages are better than they were before.
So we're gonna spend a little time talking about cancer and pancreatic cancer and go in a little bit more detail about the surgery that you have coming up. But you know, we're just all so happy and greatly relieved that, that you know, we got another green flag here. We can keep going. As I told you last fall when this all came down, you know, I try to be upbeat and be, you know, positive with you, and I said, you know, we're going to get the next spring, we get this last show, and we're going to turn the tables on you, and I'm going to interview you about this.
Yeah, I want to point out it was your idea. It was not my idea to do this show.
I know, but I said, you know, because I wanted to be so positive about where I thought this was going to end up. But I also want you to take the opportunity to have you tell people about you. You know, you've done this show for 15 years, and people love you as an internist, and they love to listen to you on TV and on the radio. But they don't know. Yeah, a few of them do. They don't know who you are. So I want to kind of start at the beginning. Where did you start in South Dakota here, anyway?
Right. Well, my folks moved to D. Smith when I was 5, And I grew up in the little town on the prairie, D. Smith, South Dakota. Go Bulldogs. And, you know, I had a wonderful family. They loved South Dakota. My grandmother and my grandfather, I never knew my grandfather, but my Grandma Holm, homesteaded near Bowman, North Dakota, and on the edge of North Dakota, South Dakota, way out there on real tough prairie area. And I heard that they had a sod hut. Of course, my aunt would say, we never lived in a sod hut, but there was apparently something about, you know, you didn't want to admit that you did at that time. But in the early 1900s, they made good success in that area in the country. And
so the Holmes all ended up in De Smet.
Well, my folks, they moved to Minneapolis. My dad was a Minneapolis kid, and he went to Springfield during World War II, the very beginning of World War II, and met my mother from Springfield, Missouri, and they came. But that, I wanted to make sure that people knew that I had that prairie history, that my grandma and grandpa homesteaded.
Well, that's the Prairie Doc, so
There
it
he
all
is.
makes sense.
It's
now,
an
you see.
important thing. And I was thinking about the things that are important to me is that there is that unconditional love that you get from your parents. I think about that a lot. You know, my mother said to me and explained what unconditional love was and defined it. I mean, I heard it all when I was 6.
Sure.
That no matter how bad of a person I would be, she would always love me. She wouldn't like me very much, and she didn't want me to be a bad person.
But she would love
But she would love me. And I think, you know, gosh, I think that needs to be said to our kids. I don't think people understand the value of that. I think the other part of my raising that was important to this whole idea of going into medicine was the communication in our family with the Bell family, you know, the Dr. Belson, D. Smet, and the community of friends that they had, you know, the Stahlheims and the Puringtons and the Puringtons. I mean, all their circle of friends. All those are very important.
So there was not just one time that you said, "Gee, I'm going to go into medicine." There wasn't one event or anything. It was just I mean, where did that come from? How did that work?
Well, I can remember in Mr. Graham's science class, freshman in high school, dissecting a frog with Ron Husengay, and he didn't want to mess with that frog. And I just loved it. I mean, I can remember, you know, dissecting the darn frog and looking at all of the parts and going, maybe I'm meant to be a doctor.
Yeah.
What was it with you, Jim? I mean, do you remember the time that you decided?
Well,
you don't remember?
You know, there's similar things where you could point to things where you said, "Gee, you know, that was." You know, I guess it was the respect from the family physician that I had, Dr. Ben Dixon in Lamar's, and you know, was terrific, and so that was a role model. So it's the same kind of thing with Dr. Bell and you, and you know, your family doctor, and so you have this tragic event when you're 16 years old.
Yeah.
And that also had to sort of shape some of this. Can you
certainly
talk a little bit about that?
Right. So I'm at Boy Scout. I'm at Somers Canoe Base, canoeing in the northern Minnesota, and we come home, and the town seemed there was something wrong. I mean, have you ever driven into something you just felt a cloud was there? And when we got done, I mean, I could hear there was whispering going on, and then suddenly somebody picked me up and took me to my house where the whole town seemed to be there supporting my mom and dad after my sister's death.
Yeah.
She'd been killed in a car accident. I think that really threw me into the reality of that life is not forever, and that, you know, we better enjoy and savor and make valuable every moment. I remember at one time I'd been ashamed of her because she was kind of a wild and crazy, happy, loving person that touched everybody's lives, but she was, you know, she might have even smoked cigarettes. I don't know. I didn't, you know. And it was one of those, when I was 16, she was 18 and a half, 19, turning 19, and it changed my life, you know. And of course, it made me consider my parents more, their needs. But it also made me realize life is so fragile, I want to be able to help people through that. That was another thing in medicine. But it also helped me enjoy life. I've been a person who's enjoyed life a lot.
So then you're on to medical school. This is back when it was a 2-year school.
Right.
So after 2 years, South Dakota always had this 2-year school. You did the basic science, and then you had to go on. And that launched you then into finishing medical school at
Emory. In Atlanta, Georgia. So, I mean, the 2-year school in South Dakota, I mean, it started early in the 1900s or in the late 1800s. I mean, they had a 2-year school like a lot of them did, and then a lot of them evolved, but South Dakota didn't have the numbers or the money until after I was gone from med school. And so when we did first 2 years, they were serious in making sure we were prepared to go anywhere. And I remember getting to Emory, you know, it's a highfalutin, it's in the top 20 med schools in the country, or 10. And they said, whoa, South Dakota kids, they are always well prepared. I mean, they did say that to me. And they were happy to take us. And I did well in my class. And then I was trying to decide what to do, and I had mentors that liked me and wanted me to stay. And so they pushed me to stay in internal medicine.
Internal medicine, and then you had the decision to make between staying in academics or coming into practice. And how? Quickly tell me how you ended up back in Brookings.
Well, I mean, they asked me to teach before I got married.
You did teach for a while, right?
Yeah, I taught 3 years. They gave me an opportunity to teach at Emory, and then I wasn't married at the point, and I was looking at this one particular nursing student.
Was her name Joni?
Yeah, her name was Joni.
Okay.
And so a poor Floridian girl dragged her all the way back to South Dakota to practice. I mean, you know, if you're teaching, you're saying to these young med students and residents, this is what it's like to practice, except I've never practiced. I mean,
So you came back to...
I decided I'd come back and practice, and then if I really wanted to, I can go back and say, I practiced. There's a Hippocratic, or the little hypocrisy there if you're teaching and you haven't.
We'll talk a little bit more about that, but some TV personalities are different when they're on television than when they are in their everyday lives.
Ooh. All right, we'll see what this says.
If he was upset, it wasn't something that he got physically angry or emotionally angry. It was always very thoughtful, you know. If somebody was misbehaving, the best way to teach them a lesson was to make them go think about it, you know, think about what they did wrong.
He was a very humble, kind, loving, fun guy. I don't know, growing up, he was a doctor, so, you know, he had those long hours, and, you know, we'd all wait for him to come home and eat dinner together at the table, which was, I think, a great family thing to do, to not hear about everybody's day, but also just kind of the closeness of the family.
It is kind of an interesting thing to look back and remember running with my dad from a very, very young age.
Well, he got me into running pretty much, I would say. I mean, I ran maybe a little before knowing him, but, you know, then now I've already run this morning. I've been running, you know, almost 40 years. And so his health, his aspect of health and exercise and fitness is extremely important.
He's got some good empathy, and he knows often what people need to hear to make them feel better.
Dr. Holm has a passion for wanting to educate everyone on how to be happy and to live healthy. And it's my impression he's been doing that since day one when he began to be a doctor. And this is just another outlet for that passion that he has. What you see on television is what you get in person.
That was a really nice segment on and encapsulating what we're talking about is how, you know, generally you got into medicine and how you ended up in practice. I want you to tell me a little bit about your perspective on practice and being a leader among physicians and connecting with physicians, and then talk a little bit about that as we then maybe talk a little bit about your experience in media. So,
Okay. You know, I remember coming to Brookings in 1981, 82, realizing that their practice was this way. The common practice was to provide, everybody was anxious and everybody got Valium and everybody was, you know, they treated it with this way and so on and so forth. And I'm right from the university, you know, on the cutting edge of all of that stuff. And, you know, part of the thing is you don't tell people this is the way to do it, you're wrong. I mean, part of the deal is that you treat people with doctors with respect too. I mean, they've got the experience. You're just a young whippersnapper. So part of what I thought I had to do, and I tried to do, and was to do a lot of listening and sharing and just leading by example and let them lead by example too. I remember Bruce Lushbaugh, one of my heroes in medicine, you know, just showing me the ropes as he was so compassionate with patients. So it was a learning experience.
That connecting that you were doing when you came back to South Dakota actually got you out to Rapid City, and that's how we first met.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Rapid City, you were here, and we just sort of had a meeting of the minds, but then...
Well, I was giving a talk, and you were giving a talk at the same conference on legal lawsuits and remember that?
Remember something, and then But,
and I listened to this guy and I thought, my God,
and
he
I
is
listened
really
to this
good.
guy and I thought, my God, this guy's really. So
afterwards you said,
then,
we got to do this together. We've got to find a way we can do this.
We ought to take this show on the road. I think.
I think is exactly what you said.
So I think that you know, you and I both kind of engaged with physicians across South Dakota, and you know, I was gratified myself to become, you know, a president of the Medical Association. You were president of the Medical Association. The internal medicine group elected you as their governor, which is a very important position if you're internal medicine. And I think that how did all that, you know, how did we get from that to all of a sudden you're on the radio, and then all of a sudden the TV show, and tell me about that transition.
Right. Well, I was chairman of the Internal Affairs and blah, blah, blah committee. I can't remember. They dumped that committee. Mm-hmm. It's changed its name. But for the State Medical Association, before I was the president and got into the leadership role, I was the chairman of this subcommittee. You know, they always need committee members of the different things. And we were looking at trying to improve the public relations of physicians because we're just, it was, you know, doctors are coming up as heels, you know, as people throwing scalpels across the operating room, and that I saw all these great people, and I thought, you know, we need to try to figure a way to do it better. And I said to the leadership of the State Medical Association, we need to do something to improve public relations for doctors. And they said, we'll bring some national people in. They brought to my committee two national people who talked about how to do public relations. And we were talking about, you know, billboards and TV ads and look at the cost of all those things. They're terrible. It's huge, huge cost. And I said, well, we have none of that money. We have none of that. What could we really do? Well, really, the best way is to talk to your local Kiwanis club and to be able to present in front of groups whenever is asked. Be on the radio if they ask you. So they asked me.
Got you to the radio.
They asked me to be on the radio, and then they asked me to come again, and then they asked me to come again, and then they said, let's do this regularly, and then they said, let's do it every week. Yeah. And I did that for about 15 years before we started the television show.
Then the TV just became an extension of that.
Well, we tried. Remember the first round of TV things? We tried to do it. And by the way, I realized that the best public relations is good public service. If you're just doing the right thing, that's better than to put an artificial commercial on TV and say, look how good we are. Yeah. Just do the right thing. Yeah. And there's a huge need in healthcare education for the public. And so that's kind of what drove that.
So this show has been part of that very honest attempt to say, we're going to get the best people that we can find, and most of these are going to be from South Dakota
Yeah.
docs, and we're going to get to the bottom of the best scientific information we can, and we're going to present that to people because they're not idiots out there. They can understand this
Yeah.
stuff, and we'll talk about it, and we'll
No.
answer questions. And I think that's why this has been so successful, because it's real. This is not artificial. This is a real doc talking to a real doc talking about a real problem. So,
People really didn't realize what quality people we have in this state practicing medicine.
yeah, I
And you know, to bring them out, to bring them to talk about healthcare.
So here you are, this great career, and you know, I'll embarrass you a little bit. It culminates in being elected to the South Dakota Hall of Fame, and put in the Hall of Fame the South Dakota Hall of Fame. If you are traveling down 90 and you stop in Chamberlain at the Hall of Fame, you will see Dr. Holm in the Hall of Fame. So that is really there. And then, but here's the roller coaster part. You know, literally within days of that highlight is when we get to the abdominal pain business that you were talking about. All of a sudden, you have the abdominal pain. You sort of recounted in your opening about how all that sort of worked. Yeah. But ultimately, you had this pancreatic cancer. And one of the things you and I have talked about is one of the things as a physician, you know these diagnoses. Okay, if you're a layperson and I have to tell you have pancreatic cancer, I can bring you into that a little bit slowly. Okay, if you're a doc and I say you've got pancreatic cancer, you have just had the whole thing collapse right on top of you. Yeah. So tell me about that. What slammed you in the face in October that made you say, oh my God?
Yeah. Well, I've been the hospice director for 20 plus years at Brookings. And I've watched people, young people, babies, you know, but a lot of older people too, people 68 years of age too, come down with cancers that are terminal. With that, you know, I started writing this book about let's face our own death. In fact, I wrote an essay about fearing death is harmful to your health. I mean, it's dangerous to be fearful of your own death. And I thought about my own death a lot after my sister's death. And my whole essence has been, I better be doing it right and fully complete and do the right thing and love your family and savor every moment and play hard because it could be any time. And I've thought about it a lot. And so when it came down to it, all of a sudden I could see my death is very close. You know, I'm about as prepared as anybody should be because of the hospice experience and my sister's death experience, and it's not been a quiet little ignorance.
And your father
my father passed away, and my mom passed away, and I have one cousin on my father's side, and I have one cousin on my mother's side. I don't have any siblings. I've got their children, and I have my children and my wife.
So let's just focus a little bit on pancreatic cancer, on the cancer, the so-called exocrine cancer of the pancreas.
Right.
It is the bad actor, bad actor.
Bad
okay, you
cancer.
get that, and you know there was a time when you and I were in medical school. You said that word, and it was 3 to 6 months, and you were going. It didn't matter what
dead.
they did.
That's
Okay,
right.
and that has changed a lot. And you have fortunately hooked up with somebody that's done a lot of studies on this. This whole thing with the chemo followed by radiation, do we have it confined? Now can we do the surgery? Can we possibly excise this thing?
Right.
And that's what you're going to be facing next week. And then, you know, as we were talking about earlier, you know, if this could buy some time, if this could buy 4 or 5 years, there are some really good cutting edge things that are being developed. Who knows what the next treatment's going to be a year from now or 2 years from now.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that, you know, I mean, it's basically, you know, you're just not going down. You know, you're Rocky. You're going to keep on going here, and I may not win this battle, but I'm not going down until somebody knocks me down.
Well, and you know, let's face it. I'm 68. I won't live forever, and neither will you. I mean, we all put that away. We say we're not going to live. I know, you know, taxes and death, you know, those are the things, but no one, we don't usually face our own death. And my sense is that facing our own dying process is something that we all should do and think about. And that's part of the reason I'm writing this book, too.
And I want to talk a little bit about some of the advances in treatment of cancer. You know, we've worked to solve cancer since medical research began. Chemotherapy, radiation treatments, and surgery have shown promise in many ways, but it may be time for another direction of attack.
Immunotherapy is the idea that you can encourage your body's immune response to recognize and destroy the cancer. And so it's all based on foundational principles from infectious diseases like viruses. There's actually a very old history about immunotherapy for cancer. I don't know if you've ever heard of William Coley, a surgeon in New York. He, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, played with the idea based on a serendipitous observation. He had a patient who got an infection of a sarcoma, and the tumor went away because of the infection. Now we know essentially almost all cancers have mutations or other alterations that generate what molecules that could be viewed as foreign from the immune system, kind of like a foreign pathogen, that can serve as targets for your immune system to recognize and kill cancer cells, just like your immune system would kill virus-infected cells. It's a bit of a puzzle wrapped in an enigma, right? So you know that even from a patient, you could make let's say a tumor cell line from their cancer, and then make a T cell line from their blood. So T cells can be the killer T cells, the important immune cells that have the capability of recognizing and destroying the cancer. And you could separate these, grow them up in the laboratory, and then you mix the T cells with the cancer cells, and they're completely killed in a tissue culture dish. This puzzle has been unraveled over the past 20 years or so, and the beginning of the field was vaccination. All right, maybe you could just immunize patients against these molecules that might be recognized as foreign, get a stronger immune response, sort of expand the army, boost the offense, right? And then you'd have more of foot soldiers to go into the tumor and then get the upper hand numerically sort of against the cancer. When we started to probe into the tumor, we realized very quickly that patients fell into two categories. One is it just keeps the cells out. And so you can boost the body's immune response as much as you want, but if the tumor it walls itself off in a way, if it doesn't let the T cells in, they can't have access to the cancer cells. But it turns out the other category is a little bit different, where the immune cells do get in, but then they're shut down. So I think there's reason for true optimism in terms of improving cancer outcomes even further. Optimism, though, is based on investment and infrastructure and public and private support all working together.
So that was an interesting piece, because that really is the cutting edge of where many disease treatments are going. It doesn't matter whether it's rheumatologic, neurologic, oncologic, a cancer,
vaccines.
But trying to either mimic the immune system and attack a cancer, or stimulate the immune system to attack a cancer, or a rheumatologic problem, or whatever. That really is, that's where the cutting edge of treatment is. And again, that's, I'm excited looking forward. I think there's going to be a lot of potential things.
A dear friend of mine has some cancer that's had little spots pop up, and of course our chances are going to be this immunotherapy, and I'm really hopeful for him. And I've seen immunotherapy do wonderful things, like Jimmy Carter's brain cancer, for example, was one of those examples. I wanted to make a point. There are some people in Minneapolis who are afraid that vaccinations are going to cause different problems, and they're not vaccinating their children. And there's a huge population of these people who've immigrated from a different country that are all talking with each other. They don't trust the doctors, and they're not getting their kids immunized. And it's that same immunotherapy. It's the same, let the body do the trick rather than an antibiotic or something.
Right. And there's the whole issue with vaccines and autism and all that. And again, there's just a lot of non-science there.
It's
okay?
not.
I mean,
It's not true.
It's just every study has but these things get a hold and it's just like anything. People start saying them enough, even though they don't know what they're talking about, but they say them enough, people start to think it's true. It's not true.
It's not true,
So-
and then they set themselves up for trouble,
Right.
and particularly when more and more are not immunized.
So let's go back. Let me take you back to now. You've gone from October all through the winter months to now. You were at Mayo. We've got the all clear as far as
Ready for the
for
surgery.
the surgery. Okay. So
I wanted to make sure that people understand that I went to my local doctor, who sent me to the Vera, South Dakota doctor, and the South Dakota doctor sent me to the Mayo because I had this unusual anatomy.
Right.
And so right there, they're on the absolute cutting edge. We're going to have that doctor on the show next year, I think.
right. Well, and I think the important thing there is that you. You're a doc, and people will say, "Oh, you probably just got on the phone and called." No,
I did not.
No, and
I went to my doctor.
That's what we all do. We all
That's what we
say
need to do.
we've got a personal doc. We go talk to them, and then we discuss it with them, and then they suggest we go on, or they suggest we do this, and that's the way it should work. Because had your anatomy been such that it would have been a slam dunk right there, you could have had that. It would have been taken care
November.
of. But this guy looks at you and says, "This isn't right. I need help. I need somebody that's a cut above me in terms of the referral area and expertise." So yes. So tell me about. I want to talk a little bit about.
The chemo, or
No, I know you went to the chemo and the physical stuff, but the spiritual side of things. I mean, how do you have you're facing. You don't know what you're facing there. You might be facing death in weeks,
Yes.
months, maybe years. Hopefully years. That's what we think.
6 days.
But did you get yourself right with the Lord? And tell me about that a little bit.
Well, I think my faith really, I mean, of course, I was raised in a solid church family, and mom and dad went to church, and I went to Sunday school and all that stuff, and learned the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And by memory, when I was 7 or 8, have you ever thought of that prayer? That's a wonderful prayer. And I went to church camp, and at church camp, this was kind of a liberal church camp, and they talked about, God is in action. Love in action is God. They talked about doing right for other people, caring for other people. There is where our religion should be. Bring it into action. And a lot of issues about meditation and prayer happened in my high school years. And my sister's death, what did that mean to her, and what did that mean to us? And I've always believed, I'm kind of in a non-exclusive church. My church is, of course, my church says open doors, open hearts, openness. And in my sense, that's the most important thing. It includes anyone. If you look at the Jewish religion, it's the same God as the Muslim religion, as the Christian religion. I mean, I think if you look at all the world's religions, they talk about compassion and justice as the base. And all the rest of this are these little details that humans add. The idea about heaven, and prayer, and there's a lot of unanswered questions that I have. But I wrote an essay that's at the end of the show. I don't know if you even know that it is. It's about what is listening for God. And my sense is that I love my mom and dad, and I sense that they're with me. I feel the spirit that is within you, and I feel the spirit all around me. When I was snorkeling in the British Virgin Islands 2 weeks ago, and I have to say it was a wonderful experience, I'm seeing the fish and I'm swimming through the water, and all these little minnow-like fish are in this particular bay called Monkey's Point. And you can swim like this, and the fish will just all in unison will move with you. I mean, there are some magical connections between the fish, between the birds that are flying in the air and that move together. There's so many mysteries that we don't understand, but a lot of it is the connectedness of our spirits. So there's my sense of reassurance.
So you have brought that out in some of the things you've been involved with in terms of the church and spirituality and you know, sharing things that mean, you know, those of us in the Christian faith, there are hymns and things that you would bring to me and you've done that as part of the community, and we, you know, I want to talk about that a little bit because medicine doesn't always come from pills. It may also be just a gathering of people who care.
There's a land that is fairer than they.
They did that while he was in the hospital, and he really enjoyed that. Yes, that was a very, very nice thing for them to do.
Hopeful Spirit Chorale is a group of kind of multi-generational people. We've got a lot of retired folks, a lot of folks who work, and then some college students as well. We meet on Tuesday nights and we practice singing, and then we go and sing to a hospice patient or an elderly patient or someone who just needs a little bit of brightening their spirits.
Oh yes, a lot of personal satisfaction, a lot of camaraderie, not just with the patients, but with everybody that sings, and it's a great group of people, and you know, just there's a lot of age range, you know, from college students to retired people. So I get to meet a lot of nice people and talk with them, and we all get to go and do something nice for someone who's a little down.
Yes, I'm not much of a singer myself, but I've really enjoyed seeing, you know, the difference that we've made, especially for these people's families, because it's a really rough time for them.
Just so pleasant, such a pleasant experience.
It's not so much about the singing either, it's just about, you know, giving up that hour every Tuesday and doing something for somebody else, and they really appreciate it, and I would totally recommend it.
We shall meet on that beautiful shore.
So tell me a little bit about that kind of an experience with the singing and the group there.
It was pure accident that I ended up the director. I'm not a great director, and I have two directors within the choir that are much better than I am, but I'm the hospice director, so oftentimes we'll sing for someone in hospice. Sometimes we sing for somebody who's well. We just sing for people who we think might benefit from it, and it's one of those things where they found that when you're singing in harmony or harmonizing, heartbeats unify. The heartbeats come together. Isn't that amazing? Yep. So it's just, it's the moment that I feel like I'm closest to God. And when you have harmony like that, it's just a true joy. And to be able to share it with someone in need in particular, you know, it's something else.
Yeah. Well, I've had, you know, mutual friends of ours that have been over here and sat in with your choir and they come back and they tell me what a enriching experience it was. So it's really, it is special. I did want, before we run out of time here, I do want to talk a little bit about the next challenge that you're up against here next week. Okay, right. So next Wednesday, you're scheduled for surgery. The procedure is called the Whipple procedure, and I don't mean to be, you know, overly severe about this, but when I was in medical school and when you were in medical school, the Whipple procedure carried high risk.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
remember it was
30,
about
40, 50% of
yeah.
people did not get out of the operating room.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that has improved. The surgery has improved, and it's been, you know, and so you know, that part of it, that high immediate risk has gone down to really manageable numbers, but it's still a big deal. Tell me just a little bit about what's going to happen next Wednesday.
Well, you know, I can't deny it's a little scary, but you have to trust people. And, you know, I've seen people go through tougher times, and I pushed them through it. And they did it with courage. So doggone it, I better be a good example. They're going to cut off a third of the stomach, the head of the pancreas, half of the biliary tract. They're going to scoop all of the lymph nodes out of there, a foot of small intestine, and then they're going to reconnect all of these, hoping that they won't have a leak in the pancreas, which is a digestive organ that digests anything its juices touch.
Right.
So that's the big bugaboo of operating the pancreas. And hopefully, you know, we'll just recover. I think the most important thing is I'm trying to stay in shape. My wife is forcing me to do sit-ups to strengthen my muscles on my belly. And you know, I was running before this. I've stayed running. My wife and I were at the Mayo, so we biked down to Preston, Minnesota, and biked 22 miles on their trail along that trail there.
You've maintained your weight very well too. You know, I've been watching you very closely. You maintain your weight, so thank you very much, Joni, for whatever you're doing.
Forcing the food down me.
That's right. Keep forcing that food, because that's. I mean, you have stacked the deck as much in your favor as you possibly can. Okay, right. It's a big deal. This is a big swath that somebody's going to take out of you.
Yeah.
But you're, you know, and so.
And I wanted to make this point. I think I've lived a pretty good life. I mean, I've had a glass of wine or two every night, but I'm not excessive in anything. I've not been a smoker. I've stayed exercising. I mean, why do I deserve this? And the answer is I didn't deserve it. And people who get cancer don't deserve this. We should never, not even the smokers who get lung cancer, you should never think, you deserve, you know, what do you expect? That type of a thing. Forget it. It's not a fair deal. It's just the shakes of the dice that happen. And I've lived 68 years. It's way more than most people used to live.
Right.
And I've had this glorious life. How could a guy be happier?
Right. Well,
but I'd like a few more years if I could.
Yes. Well, and you know we'll
plan on it.
You know that you have a lot of friends who pray for you every day. You know that. So. We've just got a couple minutes left, and I do want to touch on the book a little bit because I want people to be aware of the fact that you've written this book, and it's really, you know, from the parts that I've read, which is I reread or what, it's very good and it's very helpful, and I think that people need to be looking out for it to see when it, you know, and so talk just a little bit about some of the concepts that you're fleshing out in this book.
So one of these young doctors came up to me, Jim, and he said, I'm walking out the back door one morning at the hospital, and he said, Rick, you've got to write a book about how to take care of our parents. And I don't know why he said that, and I said, yeah, maybe I should do that. And I started formulating it, and of course it's going to talk about what you can do to try to give yourself the best shot at it. Avoiding extra medicines and do herbal supplements make any difference? You know, what about the baby boomers? Are we really a tough group, and is there a reason to worry? And there is a reason to worry. The baby boomers we're spoiled. We're spoiled, and we want what we want. And what'll happen is that baby boomers will come to the end of their life, and if they don't watch out, they're going to get all that they want, which is too much. They're going to be dragged through suffering at the end of our lives. And we need to be able to empower people to know how not to be dragged through crap. And that when it's time to die, it's okay, and to make it easy rather than to be brought. I've just watched so many people, and you have too, haven't you? That at the end of their lives, they have a tube in every orifice, and that's when they go. You know, they die with tubes in every orifice instead of at home.
Right, right.
So that book should help us the baby boomers and older people to avoid that dilemma, and it should help them face their own dying process. But it you know, talks about living wills, it talks about abuse of the elderly, it talks about what dementia is and how you define it, and you can, in resources in which to define places to go if you find that your loved one is getting demented, and how to help you through this as a care provider, or the demented person, how to help them through it too.
Right. So, and once again, you're expecting probably certainly within this year, by the end of the year, you think you're going to have a publisher and be ready to go with this?
I'm hoping that I'll have a publisher.
Hopefully when we do this show, when we kick off the fall season.
Yeah, or if we do.
If we do, and you know,
or we end the next year's season, one or the other.
One or the other. Whatever we're doing, we'll talk about that book, and we'll actually have it so we can hold it up.
Well, then we better be the end of the next year.
Yeah. So,
but I've got 8 of the 12 chapters done.
Yep.
And there's 4 chapters that are formulated.
Well, I think it's important that you know, you've had a great balance between optimism and reality in dealing with this. I've been very impressed. I've watched you closely over the last 6 months, and I think that balance, coupled with just doing the right thing, living your life, I'm not dead, I'm living, is the thing to do. And I've been very impressed, and it's an honor to be your friend. So.
Well, it goes both ways, Jim.
Okay.
I wanted to say that putting yourself on this spot is a thing that is to be benefiting the people who go through this too. It's very humbling. I don't mean to be, look at me, yeah. I don't want that.
Well, that's not what we're doing. This was a conversation we thought would help people, and they know who you are. So, and now for the winner of tonight's Prairie Doc quiz question. What does Rick think positively influenced Rick's life the most? A, the life of his 19-year-old sister who died when he was 16. B, the unconditional love of his parents. C, being accepted into medical school. D, marriage to Joni and their 4 children. E, all of the above. And of course, it's clear, if you've listened to a little bit of this conversation, it's all of the above.
I didn't say enough about Joni and our kids.
You did. It was Jan McDowell from Montrose, South Dakota, who correctly answered this question. Thank you, Jan, for participating, and a book will be in the mail to you soon. We'll be right back after this.
Okay.
All around town, from stores to playgrounds, babies are on the move. And there are diseases that are on the move too. And some of these spread easily. To best protect him from 14 serious diseases by the time he turns 2 years old, vaccinate him according to the recommended schedule. So he can go on about his business and you can have peace of mind. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor or go to cdc.gov/vaccines.
How does any of us cope with the catastrophes of life? Years ago, a couple faced the tragedy of an accidental death of their only young child. Even though most marriages don't survive such an insult, this one did. Between the woman and the man, there was love and forgiveness with the help of the church. The people of the congregation, like the wings of a mother hen, surrounded the couple with support, comfort, and warmth. Some critics of organized religion say that we are hardwired to believe in God. They say that it explains why religion exists, but not why God exists. They point out that no society has survived more than 3 generations without a religious foundation, including belief in prayer, the afterlife, and ritual. But just because we need God doesn't mean God exists. Well, I contend that the opposite is true. And I'm reassured of God's presence by this and more observations. I am reassured of God's presence when watching a religious-based rehabilitation program help men find their way back from drug or alcohol abuse. The leaders who fill a mentor role teach it's not about you, it's about loving others and loving God. I'm reassured when studying the complexity of the human heart and the way the heart muscle valves, the arteries interact while sending blood with oxygen and nutrition to every cell in the body. I am reassured when our hopeful spirit chorale sings and brings spiritual connection to the hearts and tears to the eyes of those listening and singing. I am reassured when a church, mosque, or synagogue full of people saying the Lord's Prayer, or any prayer in unison, vibrates in synchrony the souls of the congregation. I am reassured when watching a flock of birds or a school of fish move together and then change direction, as if one organism in sync by some ancient and holy spirit. As a medical doctor caring for people through the years, I have had to rely on science with which to try to help resolve the health problems people face. In caring for people, especially at the end of their lives, I have realized that often science is simply not enough. There is another place to where people need to go for help when the finale, when the end is near. The spiritual realm, in my view, is all around us if we listen very carefully for it. And this divine essence provides, for many, great meaning and help. In one famous interview of Mother Teresa, the interviewer asked her how she prays. "I listen," was her response. "What does God say in return?" was the next question. "He listens," was the answer.
A big thank you to our special guest, Dr. Rick Holm.
Well, you're most welcome. It's a bit different sitting on this side of the table, Jim. I'd like to mention that this is our last live program of the season. I most humbly thank all of you at home who have invited us into your living rooms each Thursday. And we will be returning next fall with our 16th season of On Call with Prairie Doc. We've already started to schedule new guests and find the best topics, and you're going to be one of them, you know. There will be some new programs that we have recorded this season. Then, over the summer, South Dakota Public Television will be showing some of our best programs from the last 2 seasons, and I hope you enjoy those and learn the good science-based information they have. A big thank you to our friends at South Dakota Public Broadcasting for their willingness to help us on air, and to our friends at the South Dakota State University Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, the staff and crew who make this show work. It's been a wonderful 15 seasons. I cannot wait to start our next one.
Here at On Call with Prairie Doc, our staff and crew work to provide honest, science-based information aimed to help you make good healthcare decisions. If you believe in our efforts providing good information in a world of misinformation and would like to help continue this quest for trustworthy, real information, please go to prairiedoc.org, O-R-G, prairiedoc.org, and click on the donate button. Any help you can give will be put towards providing authentic information to thousands of viewers. Thank you. That does it for tonight. From all of us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc, and until next time, and as the Prairie Doc always says, stay healthy out there, people.
The average per capita lifetime healthcare expenditure is over $316,000, bringing skyrocketing healthcare costs back to earth. Next time, On Call with the Prairie Doc.
Major funding for On Call with the Prairie Doc has been provided by
Avera is a proud sponsor of On Call on South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
Larson Manufacturing is proud to support On Call Television as it continues to open doors for important medical information.
And by the South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, the Medicare Quality Improvement Organization for South Dakota.
And with the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions.
Brookings Health System,
Ophthalmology Limited,
South Dakota State Medical Association,
Avera Heart Hospital,
Dakota Allergy and Asthma,
Fishback Financial Corporation,
Vance Thompson Vision,
Aberdeen Asthma and Allergy,
Aberdeen District Medical Society,
Black Hills Medical Society,
Dakota Bank,
Orthopedic Institute,
Physicians Care Sanford Clinic Community Service Committee, and
Swifttail Communications.